Okay, fellas, apologies that I can't be with you today. I'll be back later on in the week, but we've got some important work to do. This is our double period, so you'll get a break partway through and a new teacher will come in period 5, but we're going to continue doing the same work for the whole time. What you've got up on the screen is just a picture out of your textbook. I think it's a page 156, so you'll be able to look at it later on. But right now I want you to focus on the board because I'm going to take you through some of the theory that you need to know. We touched on this a little bit in the last period, whether you were at Kiriki last week or the week before, we did talk about some of this stuff. So some of this hopefully you've got in your head already. Basically there are 4 special types of angles that I want to introduce you to today. The first one is this one here, which is the adjacent complementary angles. Now complementary angles always add up to 90 degrees. You can see that here. And the fact that they're adjacent means that they're right next to each other. So you can think of them as next door neighbours. And what you've got here is an angle of 30 degrees and an angle of 60 degrees living right next door to each other, and they equal, they'll equal 90 degrees if they're complementary angles. Now a little bit later on I'll show you an activity where you can play around with this, but what I want you to remember for now, complementary angles equal 90 degrees. If I only knew one of those angles, so say the 30 was blocked out, scribble it out, and I only knew that it was a 60, I'd be able to work out the missing angle because I'd say to myself, oh, they add up to 90 degrees. I've already got 60, so what do I need? I need 30, and that's what that other one is. Okay. Now very, very similar to this are our supplementary angles. Okay, again, they're adjacent, so they're next door neighbours. And you can see here, we've got 130 and 50. They always, if they're supplementary, add up to 180 degrees. And you can see that here, that's a straight line, isn't it? And we talked about straight lines always being 180 degrees. All we've done is divided it into 2 bits. So we've got 130 and then the 50. Again, if I didn't know one of those, say I didn't know the 50, I could figure it out, couldn't I? I'd say to myself, well, the line is 180, I've already got 130, so what do I need? What do I add to 130 to make 180? I add 50 on. Okay? So you'll have some questions in your exercises that will ask you to figure out the missing angle. Okay, the third type is angles around a point. And these always add up to 360. Okay, so you could have any number of angles around the point. This one has 3, 120, 90, and 150, 3 different angles. And you can see the equation there. They add up to 360 degrees. Doesn't matter how many angles I had in there. So maybe, I had another angle here and another angle there. They would always, the whole thing would add up to 360. And that's a revolution, isn't it? This arrow here is showing us that there is a revolution. And you know that revolutions always add up to 360. Okay. Radio, moving straight along, and apologies that we're going so fast on this. What you've got next are the vertically opposite angles. So this is the last ones. Now these are kind of fun. They're like twin brothers or sisters, and they live opposite each other. So you can see here we've got 2 angles, 150 and 150, and they're opposite of each other. When these 2 lines, when you get 2 straight lines that cross over like this, they form pairs of angles that we say are vertically opposite. They're opposite each other. And vertically opposite angles are always have the same value. So this is always, this guy here, if he's 150 degrees, his brother, his identical twin, will always be 150 degrees. Likewise, the other pair here are smaller, but they're both 30 degrees. Okay, that's our theory for today. There's just 4 types of angles you need to remember, and you'll need to remember these. Okay, so part of what you need to do is go home and remember the rules. So remember for me that the complementary angles, adjacent complementary angles, always add up to 90. Adjacent supplementary angles always add up to 180. Angles around a point form the revolution, so they equal 360. And our vertically opposite angles, when two lines cross like that, they have opposite angles that are equal. They're twins. Okay? We're going to have a look now at an app that allows us to play around with these things.